This is why staying patient sometimes, even when the market is exceptionally choppy, or even when you're getting, a lot of your what seems to be strategy setups, right? So today, I think we can all agree. Today's FOMC day. We kind of always know, what's lurking around the corner on FOMC, right? Is the market going higher? Is it going lower? But if you kind of look at the way the day started, we had an immediate washout, which provided a great short opportunity off the bell here. Okay. And then you kind of had this little bottoming out pattern, and then you had this little slow grind higher, followed by a back test. Okay. Then we went into about a 2 hour, or so range. Okay. Now, if you're following scalping strategies or these little hyper scalp strategies where maybe looking for an entry here for a breakout long, or looking for an entry there for a breakdown short, you could see pretty early on that the market was not having a lot of follow through. Okay. And you can see now towards the end of the day why. Okay. So once you have this FOMC, once you have this big breakdown, I mean, the market literally went from being essentially flat on the day to down around 400 points. Right now, we're trading in a 54.5-minute range, meaning that the average true range of each 5-minute candle can be upwards of 50 points. I mean, that's pretty significant. It's pretty hard to actually control stop losses in that particular situation, because this can bounce 10 to 15 20 points and then still continue to drive lower. So what's the point of this video? The point of this video is pretty early on, besides the opening drive, besides the opening washout and the initial bounce, there wasn't a whole lot of action. Okay. And you can see that pretty early on. So when you see that and you're getting setups, and let's say you're taking that setup and you're getting stopped out, and then you kind of sit back and watch price action and you notice, hey, it's kind of just trading with inside of a range. At that point in time, you really need to just pull the foot off the gas pedal and sit and wait. Because truthfully speaking, the initial balance low, which was the low of day, and that high that we made once we broke that initial balance high, if you notice here at around 10:45, we kind of topped out. This level that I had marked out, 22,350, if we were to get above that, full long opportunity, right? But you can also see below this low of day that essentially, if we washed out, we had a lot of opportunity to the downside. Okay. And yeah, maybe it would have taken a few hours today. Maybe you would have had to be patient longer than expected. But if you would have played the opening, or excuse me, the initial balance breakdown, look at where we broke down at. That exact time is right here on this 2 p.m. candle. So 2 p.m. candle, we broke down, okay? We put in a low through the pivot, and then we got follow through. So how do we play breakouts and breakdowns, right? We want to see the pivot get broken. We want to see that new price above or below the pivot get confirmed. And that got confirmed here at what time is this? 2:05? And this was a 139 point move. Now, regardless of the position size that you want to put on the table, I mean, if you would have traded one micro and caught 100 points, you made $200, right? You know, you can kind of do the math. 3, 4, 5 micros. I mean, you would have made upwards of 500, 400, 600, 700, $800 playing micros, right? If you were playing minis, you could have caught 20, 30, 40 points. I mean, in the blink of an eye. And even when we came down here to my next area of support, the linear regression, we kind of bounced, we chopped around, and then we kind of put in this low. And then we back tested. And again, this is not by any stretch of the means a back test that most traders can stay in. I mean, this green candle that we had here at 230 is a 100-point range candle. Extremely difficult to trade, right? So even though the moves were violent, even though the move is significant, I mean, right now we're down 465 points on the NAS. It was kind of hard to kind of manage a longer move unless you were playing such small size and risking a lot of points. So how you play this is kind of sit back, be patient. And I think, the legitimate play here was the initial balance breakdown and the confirmation, this candle here. All of this continuation follow through, I think, would have been very hard to play. And I think you would have had to be looking for quick scalps here and then quick scalp here, and then a quick scalp here, just on continuation through each new low. Okay. But again, not looking for a lot, just trying to get in, catch a little bit, get in, catch a little bit. I think the main play was here, right? Boom. This was the move. This was the move, right? And realistically, you know, if you identified pretty early on that, you know, once we kind of put in this high and we chopped around for the better half of a few hours, once you realize that this range is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, it was almost probably the smartest thing to do was to just walk away altogether, or just actually play the bigger levels. Play the bigger levels with the continuation long to the upside. Play the bigger levels with the initial balance breakdown to the downside. Leave everything in the middle alone. But that's so hard to do because naturally our instincts tell us, no, this move's going higher. This move's going shorter. You know, we can get long here. We can get short here. You know, oh, here's my setup yet again. Maybe this is the one that goes. And again, you're never going to know which move is going to work and which move is going to not. But all we can tell by this price action, if you kind of just look at what was going on, this range from the low of day to the high of day was tight, guys. It was tight. I mean, it doesn't get any more range bound than this, right? There was nothing going on here. We have to get better at identifying the range and sitting out. I'm going to be completely honest. I took 3 trades today early on in the session, and that was it. That was it. I didn't catch none of this down move. None of this down move. And that's not to say that this wasn't a fantastic play. It was, I took the initial short. Okay. Once we broke out here, I took an initial long. And then I waited for, I thought that was going to be the end of the run here through initial balance. And I took this 20 play short thinking that we were going to come all the way down. That never happened. So took a little cash there and I was done, right? I was done. So completely walked away from the screens, just getting now back to the screens, doing some chart work, looking at some things. And again, you know, lo and behold, if you would have just stayed patient, you could have actually avoided a lot of chop, and you could have actually sat and waited for the correct move. And the correct move was here, going short, or a breakout through these highs. That was it. Okay. So how do we get better for next time? How do we wait? How do we practice and instill discipline? Well, when we clearly see that maybe, you know, one of our trades is getting stopped out, and then we put in a high and we fail to make a new high and we fail to make a new low, and then you just start going sideways for 30 minutes. You start going sideways for an hour. You have to tell yourself this range is getting so tight. That move is coming to the upside. That move is coming to the downside, right? So instead of a death by a million paper cuts here, even though we're getting all these little indicators, you can see that this range is so small that you're going to need to take 2, 3, 4 points. I mean, and be fast and hope that it works for yourself to make money. So to say the least, fantastic expansion finally after FOMC. Absolutely brutal price action prior to FOMC. You know, and it seems to be a reoccurring thing that a lot of traders will destroy themselves on an FOMC day, or a trader just doesn't show up at all. So there's kind of two things, you know, and I've been through enough FOMCs to kind of tell that if I don't catch something early, I'm better off not trading at all. You know, I'm better off not trading at all. Or it's not even taking any trades, just cancel everything out until the first initial push or the first initial drop, and then see if you get continuation of that move, right? See if you get it. And if you do, maybe that's the trade you want to take, right? Maybe that's the trade you want to take. If you get the breakout back test, maybe that's the trade you want to take, right? So I think on these FOMC days, you kind of just catch something early and lock out, or you don't take anything at all and you show up to the market a little bit closer to here, right? Just a little bit leading into it, so you can kind of see what we did leading into it. And then that way you can be ready for one of those moves if they happen, right? I mean, these are kind of moves where, like, you know, you got 5, 10 evaluations and you kind of just let it go, right? Just let it go. See if you can pass these things. I'm sure a lot of you guys passed this thing. You know, there was more than enough points to be had there to pass these. Again, just want to give my thoughts on the FOMC days. Very hard to trade. Again, I'm not saying that this was easy. I'm not saying that, you know, everyone should have made money, but when you actually sit back and kind of reflect, the clearest thing that we could have done was identify that early on. I know a lot of my traders and evolution traders, we understood, you know, price action so small, it felt like overnight session. You know, we're not getting any follow through. A lot of us kind of walked away on the day. A lot of us walked away on the day. I'm gonna have to put something in my playbook to where, you know, if I do catch something in the morning, like within the first 30 minutes to an hour, just walk away until about 30 minutes leading into FOMC to see if we can get something like this to happen. Because I can see how a lot of traders were getting just absolutely destroyed in here, right? Absolutely destroyed, because every move felt like this is the one that's going down. Every move felt like this could be the one that's going to break out. And it leads to a death by a million paper cuts. When realistically, we should have been on the right side of the trade to allow initial balance breakdown to happen, or a continuation of the initial balance high. And then this candle here, I'm not even talking about all of this. I'm really not, right? Just forget about all this. All I'm really talking about is trying to capture something on this move here. And that would have been more than enough. Just this. More than enough to call it a day. Okay? So again, just take that for what it is. If you guys want to join and trade with me each and every single day live, make sure to join in the description box below. Also, if you guys need those Apex account, use code DAnthony. You get the best rate available with Apex. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.